Welcome back to our channel 217 Prince White. The chapter begins. Elsewhere, under a dark city sky, a sleek luxury car rests beside a towering glass building. Minsung stands on the curb, cool and commanding. Be on standby in this vicinity, he instructs. Yes, sir, comes the reply from the man by the driver's door. The Minsung walks through a polished hallway, the dim light catching the edge of his sharp eyes. He pulls his collar higher, as if to obscure the faint trace of a smirk. His thoughts echo with quiet reflection. It's been 3 months since their last encounter. The time had slipped by quickly, yet not without weight. From across the corridor, a familiar face stiffens. A man glances up and adjusts his stance, recognition flashing across his features. He steps closer. "Oh, I saw you on the news. Aren't you the vice CEO of the Grim Reaper Guild, Lee Minsung?" The masked man pauses, amused. Internally, he scoffs. Brilliance simply can't be hidden. He tilts his head slightly, performing a flawless gesture of humility. "Well, it's important to create a good image," he says smoothly, his eyes narrowing with pride behind the mask. "Thank you for recognizing who I am." The other man chuckles, raising a hand in support. "I'll be cheering you on, hero of the hunters. Please have a good day." As he walks away, Minsung basks in the lingering attention. Yes, that was the right gaze, the look of admiration, envy. That's how it should be. Inside, he reflects further. Born the son of Yojin Construction's vice president, he was raised in opulence and privilege. A child of prestige, thrust early into the spotlight, conquering the celebrity world and earning the title Prince of Asia. With the Great Cataclysm, he awakened as an A rank. He thought he had reached the summit, but fate twisted the path. His driver, Lim Tae-gyu, awakened as an S rank. That shift cracked Minsung's illusions. The driver, humble yet resolute, announced his intent to walk away. "Since I'm getting old, I'm thinking of becoming a hunter as soon as I can. I think I'll be quitting my job as your driver." As the city breathes around him, Minsung prepares to reassert his dominance, eager to remind the world that brilliance still burns in him. The cold glint in Lee Minsung's eye reflected more than just shock. "Come to think of it, you're an A rank awakened, aren't you?" Lim Tae-gyu asked. He continued, "The Hunter Association suggested that I create a guild. Would you like to join me?" Inside, Minsung's thoughts boiled. "I'm an A rank," he repeated to himself. But the weight of that title felt hollow now. But a mere driver is an S rank? That revelation shattered something. From that moment on, his world tilted, like the first crack crawling up a marble pillar. The foundation of everything he believed in, the hierarchy he once ruled from above, was beginning to collapse beneath his feet. Starting from that day, his voice echoed in his mind. I was sure that this world was going to come crumbling down. The Great Cataclysm hadn't just devastated the physical world, it had upended the very order of power. The pyramid, once so clear, had flipped. The weak rose. The elite were humbled. But Minsung wouldn't accept it. Not without a fight. The structure of the pyramid that was flipped upside down after the Great Cataclysm. I have to restore it. I have to return it to how it originally was. He moved through the glowing halls, each step pounding with conviction. And even if it meant abandoning morality, even if I have to join hands with the demon, he whispered to himself. The double doors burst open, bathed in golden light, casting his shadow long and ominous as he entered. Minsung's face hardened. The pleasantries faded. Gone was the polished mask of charm. Only the desperate hunger for power remained. He stormed into the room. Dozens of men waited in suits, painted smiles etched on their faces. "Wipe those disgusting smiles off your faces before I rip your mouths apart," he spat, venom laced in every word. His eyes scanned the room with disdain. "Where is your owner?" The room fell into uneasy silence. No one dared meet his gaze. "It's been a while since the house owner was back," he said. "Yet he's not even going to say hi." Then came a name, cold, bitter, familiar. Lee Minsung. He turned, and his eyes locked onto a figure through the open gateway. "You. That hair color and those darn eyes." And in that moment, Minsung knew. This wasn't just an unexpected encounter. It was the beginning of something far more dangerous. Under the dim hallway lights, the white-haired boy stands tall, otherworldly eyes shimmering with golden light, a book in his hand. He calmly turns to face the man cloaked in ambition. Minsung's voice, steady and curious, slices through the silence. Are you the outerworlder? The man chuckles. You were just a baby the last time I saw you. To think you've grown so much since then. His tone, half surprise and half calculation, lingers as his eyes trace the younger figure. Even your mana has increased. Huh? You're growing up well as planned. But the boy's expression remains unchanged. I already told you previously, this isn't growth. I'm recovering my strength. His voice darkens with a deeper weight as he explains. In order to resolve the dimensional transfer problem between outer universes, I split my original body up, broke my strength and personality into fragments, and sent them to this world. As his hand gestures above the book, a glowing illusion erupts, an image of a core shattering into multiple glowing shards, each radiating with distinct energy. Among those fragments, the first to arrive here was the weakest fragment, my baby form. And you could say that current me is the version that has fused with the second fragment that arrived. From across the room, the man steps back slightly, processing the explanation. The boy adds coldly, while my memories remain, the personality I have is different from that of the being you used to know. That sounds really complicated, the man mutters, lowering himself onto the couch. To put it simply, I'm asking you to not act too friendly with me. His answer comes without hesitation. Well, I don't care about your personality. He narrows his eyes. You remember your promise with me, right? There's a long pause. Then, with a whisper, wealth, fame. And his voice hardens as a name falls from his lips like venom. The removal of S-rank hunter, Lim Taegyu. A crooked smile curls on the Minsung's face, eyes glowing with the thrill of darkness. They remain in the strange room, tension between them unbroken. The man breaks it first, stretching slightly. Well, it's all good as long as you remember. The boy asked, but what brings you here, though? Can't I come into my own house? The boy's stare tightens. I believe I told you to not come here unless there's a special reason to do so. Sitting across from him, Minsung finally speaks his reason. There's a problem with the Stardust manufacturing. His eyes flicker with seriousness. Recently, the hyena guild that provided the firewood, he pauses. And the Soul Factory was both destroyed. A thin flicker of tension ripples through the room as the boy flips through pages, his golden eyes calm, yet calculating. The screen's glow casts a soft light on his sharp features as Minsung speaks without turning, declaring his intent. He's here to secure reinforcements for Stardust, whatever may still be available. His voice carries casual authority, but beneath it lies quiet urgency. The boy narrows his eyes. They were attacked? Did you find out how? Minsung nods slightly. He recounts what he's heard. A masked hunter wielding a sword had annihilated the hyena guild. The words hang heavy in the air, spoken without emotion but not without consequence. Then the tone shifts. The boy across from him speaks irritation. Li Minsung, you created the Stardust system, didn't you? Weren't you the one who said it would be flawless? He leans forward, voice edging into accusation. Didn't you say it wouldn't have any issues? Minsung remains unfazed. With a faint smile, he counters coolly. Kid, if we worried about all the possible issues, we'd never get anything moving. A sharp glint flashes from the boy's eye. But behind that glint, something darker stirs, a low rumble of judgment. How incompetent, the boy murmurs, his glowing iris narrowing. Was the previous me wrong in choosing you as a pawn? The words cut deep. Minsung's body stiffens on the couch. His eyes sharpen, one hand already shifting under his coat. The insult lands, but it's not swallowed. A sudden burst of movement. Minsung lunges forward, unsheathing a blade in a flash of light, its edge gleaming with raw mana. His hand is pressed firmly against the boy's neck before he can react. I'm not like you, he growls, crimson eyes blazing. I'm not some brainwashed shell. His blade doesn't tremble. His voice is sharp as steel. I'm an A-rank hunter, and I could end you before your strength finishes recovering. Don't test me. Minsung's own eyes burn with radiant defiance. I'm not the pawn, he snarls back. You are. Their standoff crackles with tension, the blade caught between glowing eyes and clashing egos. The boy speaks again, calmer now, but no less cutting. You humans, you base your ranks on the quantity of mana. That's what gives your hunter strength. That's your symbol. Minsung's jaw clenches. He knows the truth of those words. But before he can answer, a chilling voice pierces through the tension. How uncivilized. From the doorway, a towering figure enters, shrouded in energy. His very presence bends the light around him. A monstrous shadow follows in his wake, the unmistakable pressure of a powerful foe. Without warning, the air cracks. Lightning flashes, energy howls. Golden pulses of power shimmered outward like a solar flare, distorting the air with every ripple. In the epicenter of this wild surge stood the silver-haired boy and the dark-coated man, the intensity of the mana flooding around them burning brighter with each breath. What? Minsung's voice cracked with disbelief. The waves of magic weren't localized. They were spreading, expanding, crashing through every wall as if the very building itself was a vessel unable to contain it. His eyes widened. Mana is surging in all directions. In the complex, workers and agents, once standing idle, lifted their heads in eerie unison. Glowing halos circled over their heads. Their once human eyes had grown vacant, glazed in submission. The same pattern repeated across every floor, in every room. Even children looked skyward, their innocence consumed by invisible chains of obedience. From high above, the entire skyscraper lit up like a beacon, its rooftop blazing with concentric rings of magic. The realization struck hard. He brainwashed every human in this building. The boy's golden eyes remained calm, his voice level but distant. The reason why the previous personality determined that you were needed was for the sake of survival. Now that I possess the strength to survive, his gaze turned cold, sharp. The relationship we have could change depending on how competent you are. From every corner of the room, mind-controlled humans moved toward them. A chorus of glowing halos and bloodthirsty eyes flooded in. Once colleagues, once allies, now empty vessels under the boy's command. The darkness was now filled with blades and eyes that knew no fear. Lee Minsung stood still, watching, then slowly lowered his blade. I was just joking. There's no need to take it so seriously. His smirk flickered with unease as he raised his hands in mock surrender. I was just testing whether you could really kill a S rank. The boy didn't look up. Well, I'll spare your life since you still have some use left. The sharp pulse of mana carved a brilliant, blinding glyph into the air. A radiant beacon of magical force burst out like a star being born, its shockwaves reverberating through the very fabric of the building. Far away, a man gripped his head, groaning in sudden agony, his mind wrenching free from the brainwashing as the halo above him flickered. Ugh, my head. The woman with long silver hair calmly opened a black case full of glowing crystal shards, gleaming, concentrated magic. These are stimulants that were made by condensing Stardust 100 times. Minsung raised his eyes, impressed. Wait, you had such a thing. The boy nodded. If you dilute that, you can produce a large amount of Stardust. It's different from the Stardust that only low-ranked hunters can use. If you use it as is, it would have effects even for an A rank like you. Her yellow gaze burned with confidence. How about giving it a try? Minsung picked up a shard, staring into it. Its glow reflected in his unreadable eyes. I'll pass. He thought. I won't use something that I know nothing about. A quiet pause. I might have unleashed an unimaginable monster onto Earth. But he turned to leave. All right, make sure you keep your promise. That's none of my business. Behind him, the boy stood alone, eyes gleaming red as his hand began to tremble with rising power. I can feel it. His voice echoed, low and eager. Another fragment will arrive soon. He looked at his palm, glowing, trembling, craving. Once I fuse with the fragment of strength, I will no longer need to stay in hiding. His eyes gleamed with dangerous certainty. When that time comes, a vision surged forward. Towering above the skyline, an enormous beast, part serpent and part nightmare, crashed down like a living catastrophe. All around it, chaos erupted, claws, shadows, howling monsters locked in combat. The war for strength had already begun. The colossal serpent writhed with unrelenting fury, its monstrous coils tearing apart the battlefield as the violet-haired warrior clung tightly to its scaled body. Her blade gleamed with crimson arcs, slicing through the thick flesh with desperate precision. But the creature's size and force were overwhelming, threatening to crush her under the weight of its wrath. Below, boots dug into shattered ground, sending up a spray of dust as Suho surged forward. The floor splintered beneath his step, momentum building, power condensing, eyes locked on the beast's gaping maw. Then came the moment. A devastating blow cracked through the air as the serpent lunged, jaws wide. But Suho met it head-on. A thunderous impact rang out as his fist collided with the monster's snout, sending shockwaves spiraling through the air. The serpent's massive body whipped back, crashing into stone and steel, walls shattering in its wake. From above, Essel's voice rang out in panic and awe. "Young monarch," she cried, witnessing the pure destructive force of Suho's counterattack. His expression was sharp, burning with intent. This wasn't desperation. It was determination. He roared as his fist found its mark again, striking deep into the serpent's skull. Blood burst from the wound. The beast shrieked, writhing as its skull cracked, and in one violent, earth-splitting motion, Suho hurled its massive body through the air. The serpent's tail smashed against the ground with a final, trembling impact, curling into itself as Suho landed with a crouch, power still radiating from his frame. But far away, in the dim blue light of another chamber, the silver-haired boy stood watching, golden eyes glowing with wicked calculation. A thin smile curled across his face. When that time comes, he whispered to himself, that's when the real invasion will begin. His words echoed like a prophecy, laced with certainty and threat. Elsewhere, the woman's voice was hushed but wary. A thread of concern laced her question as her eyes shifted toward the looming gate in the distance. This really isn't anything dangerous, right? Her voice trembled not from fear, but from confusion. Behind her, others sat quietly in the dimly lit room, each weighed down by the same uncertainty. The offer had been simple. Wait at the gate, receive 5 million won, and speak of nothing they witnessed. She recounted the conditions again aloud, perhaps to comfort herself. We'll each get 5 million won just for waiting here until that man comes out of the gate. And the only condition would be to not divulge anything we hear or see here. But the disbelief in her voice lingered. I don't understand why he's giving us money that easily. The scene shifted to the warm hues of sunset bathing the city street. She paced near the entrance of the building, brows drawn with unease. This is the 4th time, and they've been giving us money without fail. She tried to rationalize it, clinging to logic. For a hunter, closing a gate is doing the public a service, so it doesn't hurt anyone. But the gnawing feeling inside her refused to fade. But it doesn't feel right. A man, seated nearby with a cigarette pinched between his fingers, glanced up. His response was dry, casual, almost mocking. Quit on them, then. Her response came with a nervous laugh, brushing a hand behind her ear. That's a little. Then came silence. And then suspicion. The man's face turned serious. His gaze shifted from her to the swirling gate that stood like a silent predator in the distance. Well, it's definitely suspicious. Thoughts swirled in his mind, sharper now. That man didn't bring in an excavation or collection team and is clearing the gate. It didn't add up. But if you don't excavate or collect anything, then you won't be able to earn anything from the gate. He squinted harder. At first, he was just going into D-rank gates, but he's been going into C-rank ones lately. A chilling pause. What on earth is he doing alone in there? Deep within the gate, beneath an expanse of glacial stone and thick frost, an explosion shattered the stillness. Massive crystal spires erupted in pieces as pickaxes swung with furious rhythm. A group of summoned beasts, hulking and green-skinned, worked tirelessly, breaking through the icy terrain under the unrelenting command. Move faster, even faster. Among them, nestled in the heart of the frigid battlefield, a dark elf crouched beside a growling wolf. She stroked its fur absent-mindedly as her eyes scanned the battlefield. Collecting really requires a lot of know-how. Don't you agree, Gray? The wolf growled in acknowledgement. She lifted her gaze toward the distant figure, focused, deliberate, radiating quiet power. And the young monarch. Her voice drifted, heavy with awe and reverence. A worried voice echoed from beyond the battlefield, distant but laced with concern. He's gone on to fight a C-rank boss monster alone. I wonder if he'll be all right. Inside the dungeon, the answer to that question exploded into motion. The massive claws of the boss came down like falling guillotines, shattering the frozen terrain. Suho's form blurred through the chaos, his body twisting midair, narrowly evading a blow that would have split lesser hunters in half. Ice and rock erupted around him as he landed, blade at the ready, eyes locked onto the monstrous arachnid towering before him. The Spider Queen shrieked, its voice guttural and cruel, its 8 burning eyes filled with malice. Suho darted in, fearless, blade cutting through the frost-choked air. The beast swung a serrated limb, but it missed by inches. He slashed low, forcing it back. Then, in a fluid motion, Suho raised his dagger. The air rippled as magical energy surged through his weapon. Storm slash. The command burst from his lips as the dagger carved a path of pure blue wind, a slicing tempest unleashed with surgical precision. It howled through the cavern, the sheer speed of the slash cracking stone walls and causing the spider to recoil. A system alert blinked into his vision. Effect, Paralyze has been activated. But even as venom from his enchanted dagger seeped into the monster's hide, another alert followed swiftly. The target has high resistance. The effect is weaker. The beast twitched, its movements momentarily sluggish, but not enough to halt it. You withstood that, huh? Suho muttered, eyeing the monster with analytic calm. I wanted to test out the paralyzing effect of the dagger I got previously. I wonder, does it not have any effect on spiders? As he spun the blade once in hand, a glowing window appeared beside him, listing the item's attributes. Kasaka's Venom Fong, C-rank dagger. A tool laced with venom, capable of bleeding and paralyzing foes. But clearly, not this one. Suho's eyes narrowed. As I thought, when fighting bugs. With that, he hurled the dagger aside like dead weight. He didn't need it. The spider lunged with all its fury, only for Suho to meet it head-on, unarmed. His fist glowed with raw mana, veins of power lacing through his arm like crackling lightning. With a roar, he struck the creature's face. A thunderous impact. Crimson eyes rolled in the monster's head as it reeled. Using bare hands is the best, Suho whispered with a cold smile, already pulling his fist back for another round. A serpent of white flames spiraled through the air, crashing into the monster's hulking body. Cracks of light exploded outward as blinding blue streaks tore through the battlefield like thunderbolts unleashed by a storm god. Suho's focus sharpened. His breathing was calm, deliberate. Amidst the carnage, a realization bloomed in his heart. He had grown. Strong enough now to face a C-rank boss monster alone. The colossal arachnid shrieked, staggered by the onslaught. Blades of energy danced from Suho's hands, one final arc carving through the boss's defenses. He stood firm amid the falling debris, eyes glinting with purpose. I can go into a B-rank gate next, he thought, a quiet fire of ambition igniting within. The spider reeled, its monstrous limbs faltering as Suho surged forward. Lightning danced across his knuckles. I've also gotten used to using ruler's authority during battle, momentum gathered. His body, now honed through countless fights, moved with confident precision. Not only did I level up, but I've gotten more proficient at fighting. His thoughts flashed back. Come to think of it, the skill, ruler's authority. It had always served him as a tool to move objects. But what if? What if he used it in tandem with his strike? Power surged from within. With a single leap, Suho vaulted above the spider's thrashing form. Invisible force, like a second limb, aligned behind his punch. He drove his fist down. The sky split. Blue light erupted like a divine judgment from above, crashing into the monster's skull with earth-shaking force. A blinding explosion flattened everything in its radius. The dust cleared. The spider's body twitched one last time before collapsing into rubble. Its carapace split wide open beneath Suho's feet. Then came the message. Alert! You have defeated the giant arachne. Alert! You have leveled up. The air still shimmered with the aftermath of his devastating blow. A new alert blinked into existence before Suho's eyes. The level of the skill ruler's authority has gone up. The message confirmed what his body had already begun to feel. Another system window opened. Skill, ruler's authority level. 2. Active skill. No mana needed. Even though you are not personally touching physical objects, you can physically move them. Amount of fatigue that is accumulated depends on how it is used. Suho's breath was heavy. His vision dipped momentarily to the floating fatigue count, 83. The cost of his newfound power was not insignificant. He landed lightly on a ledge of rubble, surveying the carnage below. I think because I need a lot of concentration to use it like that, I'm getting tired much faster, he muttered. It'll be hard to use it consecutively. From deeper within the cave, Essel appeared with Gray beside her, both looking alert yet relieved. There could be endless ways to fight depending on how I use ruler's authority, Suho thought, turning back toward them. Young monarch, Essel called out. Her voice carried relief, but also curiosity. She glanced quickly at the surroundings, eyes locking onto the crushed corpse of the giant arachne. Did you defeat the boss monster? Yeah, I won, Suho replied with a small grin. Baru blinked, slightly in awe. You're able to do it alone, without me being around now. I'm really impressed. Suho turned to Baru, whose wings fluttered faintly at his side. Baru, you can go ahead and finish eating the magic essence crystals. Nearby, another pile of gathered monster remains shimmered in the icy light. Carapaces, fangs, and bright red cores lay neatly stacked. We've collected all the monster materials, came the report. Great work, Suho acknowledged. His gaze shifted to the familiar translucent interface hovering in the air, the store window. A flick of his finger activated the sell option. A swirl of gold values popped up in return. Plus 200G. Plus 500G. It's convenient that I can sell the materials that we collected through the store window, Suho thought, slightly amused. A moment passed before Baru added. Compared to human hunters, I think you're close to becoming a B rank. Is that so? Suho asked with a calm smile. It's not a surprise since I've leveled up 8 more times. Another screen emerged. Status window. Name, Sung Suho. Level, 28. Class, None. Title, Wolf Slaughterer. Fatigue, 83. HP, 5,350/5,350. MP, 564/564. Strength, 63. Stamina, 48. Agility, 37. Intelligence, 37. Sense, 42, plus 5. Remaining points, 0. Passive skills, Endurance level 2. Martial arts level 1. Active skills, Ruler's authority level 2. Shadow extraction level 2. Storm slash level 1. As Baru reviewed his progress, he sensed something else, something deeper. Also, I feel like as you became stronger, they also became stronger, he noted aloud. Essel gave a slight nod. It's true that I feel like the more we fight, the more my strength recovers. She paused, glancing at her clawed hand, a puzzled frown growing on her face. How am I able to recover my strength without consuming blood? But Suho's focus had already shifted. His eyes narrowed as realization dawned. Wait, that aside, the two of you have levels now. He turned to face Essel and Gray fully, scanning them. Essel later, level 19. Gray level 17. A silent breath left him. Things were changing, not just for him, but for all those who stood at his side. Essel's eyes narrowed in confusion. We have levels? That's strange. She glanced towards Suho with uncertainty. We're not players, like you or Sir Jinwoo, though. Suho's gaze was calm, yet curious. Do you see the system window too? She shook her head. I don't think so. A thought crept into Suho's mind, dark and deep like the void between stars. While they can't invest stat points, would their stats increase as they level up? He stared off for a moment, lost in a growing puzzle that wrapped itself tighter around him. It's a good thing that they can become stronger from now on. But heirs and a teammate system. There are still a lot of puzzles that need to be solved, Suho straightened. Then, shall we go check out if you can level up now? Essel's head cocked in confusion. What? How do we do that? Suho answered with casual certainty. How else? You'll probably level up after we go on some raids. Gray let out an incredulous growl while Essel reeled in comic dismay. We already went on 2 raids, but we're going on another one. Suho raised his hand. We can leave that for later, then. Let's do the daily quests first. Baru's voice echoed with a warning laced in care. Young monarch, you need to be careful to not get addicted to anything. A vortex of shadows exploded into being, and the 3 of them stepped into the swirling dimension. You have entered the shadow dungeon. Suho's eyes widened the moment they arrived, his irises reflecting the sudden surge of red light. Huh. A searing wave of heat blasted toward them. The air shimmered and the dungeon trembled with ominous warning. Cracks of crimson opened ahead, and from their depths roared a surge of burning mana. There's a gate in the shadow dungeon. Essel cried out in alarm, shielding her face from the heat. Suho gritted his teeth. What immense heat! Is this coming from inside the gate? He turned sharply. Baru, can a gate appear in the shadow dungeon too? Baru hesitated. I'm not too sure about that either. And then, ping. A system alert blared through the burning air. An urgent quest has arrived. The screen materialized. Urgent quest, dimensional crack. A dimensional crack has been detected. Enter the connected gate and remove the cause of the dimensional crack. Suho's expression hardened. An urgent quest. He smiled softly. Another step deeper into the unknown had just begun. Suho stepped forward. The atmosphere around the fiery gate shimmered with dangerous heat, casting a red haze over the scene. All right, Essel and Gray. Take these, he said calmly. As the cloaks unfurled from his hands, Essel's eyes widened in astonishment. This is... The robes radiated a protective enchantment, simple in appearance, yet brimming with practical magic. Item, heat-resistant robe. Rank for usage, none. Type, miscellaneous. You will be able to block out a certain level of heat while it is equipped. Price, 10 gold. With the blazing gate roaring behind them, Suho nodded with satisfaction. Perfect. I needed to go on more raids anyway. This worked out great. Without hesitation, he turned toward the crimson glow ahead. Let's go into the gate. The burning radiance of the portal vanished in a blink, and then sand. Endless, golden waves of it stretched to the horizon. The pyramid loomed ahead, casting its vast shadow under the relentless sun. Location, Egypt. Field type, dungeon, pyramid field. A dry wind swept over the battlefield as a man steps forward. Groaned the battered hunter. Lu Xing, Azura Guild. B-rank hunter. His comrades flanked him, visibly agitated. That's tyranny. How could you ask us to leave the dungeon? We, the Azura Guild, were here first. Their voices rose in defiance, but they weren't facing a common enemy. They were staring at a wall of iron will. A shadowed figure stepped forward from the opposing side, his eyes cold and unmoved. Who cares who came first? Heavy boots thudded against the sun-baked stone. The sound echoed like the beat of an approaching storm. This will be my last warning, the voice declared with finality. This field-type dungeon belongs to my guild from now on. As tension spiked, the echo of armor scraping filled the air. If you continue to complain, then I'll take that as a declaration of war against us. Lu Xing clenched his fists, frustration boiling in his veins. Damn it. Now of all times, his thoughts screamed silently. I can't believe we ran into the scavenger guild. And then came the voice of the hunter that led them, deep, disdainful, and absolute. Everything is meaningless in front of overwhelming strength. Randolph, scavenger guild. A-rank hunter. A massive blade glinted in his grip as he stepped forward. Everyone, get ready for combat. The warriors of the Azura Guild roared as they drew their weapons, the desert sun bearing witness to the collision of two rising tempests. Randolph watched the scattered resistance of the Azura Guild with cold, measured disinterest. His gaze, sharp and unsympathetic, scanned the weaklings beneath him. With a grunt of annoyance, he turned away from the forming skirmish, exhaling lightly through his nose. Behind him, his subordinates stood silent and ready, clad in black steel, their sheer presence pressing tension into the air. Then, without warning, a hand rose casually, fingers unfurling as if giving silent command or judgment. The moment felt like it froze in place. From the opposing side, a voice rang out. Hey! It was less of a shout and more a pointed interruption, yet it carved through the haze of heat and pride. Randolph halted mid-step, his eyes narrowing at the voice that dared cut through the mounting pressure. Lu Xing, already on edge, turned sharply toward the sound. His brows furrowed in disbelief as his eyes landed on the young man walking toward them. Shock rippled through him, recognition and confusion battling for dominance. Wait, excuse me. The voice stammered, now fully visible. It was Suho. Though cloaked in a dark robe, his face was clearly visible, bewildered, a single bead of sweat rolling down his cheek as he glanced around. The sudden change in environment clearly caught him off guard. "Where am I?" he muttered aloud, voice tinged with bafflement. Behind him, Essel and Baru stepped in through the haze, their figures emerging like specters from smoke. All three wore matching cloaks, blending with the orange glow of the dungeon's heat and mystery. And so, with a single sentence, the entire balance of the battlefield shifted. The presence of the young monarch had just changed everything. 30 minutes earlier, a thick, unnatural wind of heated sand blew across their feet. The air shimmered with heat. "I was wondering why there's sand coming out of the gate," he muttered with a mix of curiosity and irritation. Beside him, Essel nodded. "Yeah, tell me about it," she groaned, shielding her face from the gusting sand as they looked around the blinding dunes that stretched endlessly before them. A wide, surreal view revealed itself. The dungeon wasn't a dark cave or ancient ruin, but a sprawling golden desert. Dunes swirled beneath a glowing sky, and the towering shape of a pyramid loomed in the distance. One of the companions gasped. To think the dungeon would be a desert. Eyes locked on the pyramid, Baru's voice turned sharp. "I feel a strong magic power coming from that pyramid." The heat of the sun poured over the ancient stone, but that wasn't what felt out of place. A glint of metal caught their eyes. "But why are there things that seem out of place in the dungeon?" Suho advanced cautiously. Vehicles rested near the structure, and perimeter fencing bordered its surroundings. "There are cars and even wire fences," one of them exclaimed. Confusion knit across their faces. "I heard that machines don't work in the dungeon, so why are they in here?" A soft breeze blew as realization began to form. "Don't tell me. Is this place not a dungeon, but rather a gate that has crossed some sort of world boundary?" The voice trailed off in disbelief. "That shouldn't be possible," Baru added in alarm, but was quickly reassured. "Even so, as long as the previous gate remains in the shadow dungeon, there won't be an issue." Suho stepped forward, calm and resolved. "I'll go and check things out." "Yes, I think that's a great idea," Essel agreed from behind. With a spark of violet lightning, Suho vanished. Moments later, static buzzed through the air as he reappeared amidst the dunes, sand swirling around his boots. The others awaited his report. "Young monarch, how was it?" Essel called out, watching his silhouette gleam beneath the sun. Suho stepped forward slowly, a stunned look on his face. "The gate," he raised his eyes toward the glowing sky. "Isn't there?" Outside, a sharp gasp tore through the silence. The elderly hunter's eyes widened in disbelief. The gate had vanished. The news swept through the bystanders like wildfire. Murmurs turned into panic. If the gate disappeared, did that mean the boss had been defeated? Relief mixed with unease. But something didn't make sense. The person who entered hadn't returned. "We need to contact the emergency response team immediately," one shouted, voice laced with urgency. But before the fear could take hold further, the scene shifted. Back to the dungeon. A sprawling chamber deep within the pyramid stretched outward, cloaked in the dim glow of enchanted torches and ancient fire magic. The cloaked figures had made their move. They were already inside. "We entered the pyramid for now," Suho thought cautiously, scanning the vast stone halls with wary eyes. Within seconds, they stumbled upon others. Humans, a sign of life, possibly the ones behind the vehicles, and strange modern remnants littering the desert. The young man's thoughts raced, observing them as they spoke a language he recognized. English. "Where am I?" he whispered under his breath, grateful that he'd studied the language for university. It was a fragile thread of familiarity in a place growing stranger by the second. One of the Western hunters looked on with cold calculation. "A hunter," he muttered grimly. After the scavenger guild, now even Asian factions were showing up? The situation was quickly becoming chaotic. "This is a pain in the ass," another growled in annoyance. From the shadows, one man stood stone-faced, his armor crackling with latent power. His voice was a low snarl. To think there'd be so many bugs gathering. But just then, from the darkness of his memory or some far-off tale, a chilling vision surfaced. The silhouette of a massive figure emerged within his mind, a prophecy whispered long ago by the old woman seer. The being that's born of death, the one who broke the seal. And then, that monstrous presence, a skeletal titan crowned in violet flames. loomed larger than any nightmare. The one who possesses the power to raise the dead will appear in the grave. Then, a moment from the past flickered into view. The same man sat back in a lavish room, clothed in authority. Across from him lay a man, his presence veiled in silence. His words rang clear, confirmation that the dungeon in Egypt had manifested shortly after the old prophecy was spoken aloud. A prophecy that had spoken of death and pyramids, now eerily accurate. The man's expression was unreadable as he issued a cold command. After his scheduled events, he would take the rights to the dungeon for himself. He spoke of raiding it as if it were already his. But there was an edge to his words when he added, without a trace of hesitation, that if any other guilds interfered, they were to be dealt with. No questions asked. He had only one response to give. Use the way of the scavenger to deal with them. Back in the present, within the heart of the dungeon, the man's voice rang out, stern, commanding. He gave his final warning to the hunter before him. If you're a hunter after this dungeon, this will be your last warning. His tone shifted, colder now, more dangerous. If you agree to leave, I'll let you leave. But the hunter, Suho, didn't budge. The thought flickered through his mind. That was aggressive. Yet if this was truly a dungeon, he had no choice. The urgent quest demanded it be cleared. With quiet determination, Suho met the threat with a single question. What if I refuse? The response came without delay. It's simple. A massive gauntlet clenched. Magic surged. We'll have to kill you. In that instant, the enemy lunged with burning fury, an explosive flame bursting towards Suho. Energy screamed through the chamber as the strike came crashing down. From nearby, Essel Gray's eyes widened in horror, a cry of shock ripping from his throat. Another hunter expression turned sharp, rage flashing in his eyes as he clenched his teeth, sensing the clash was about to escalate into something far beyond a simple dungeon raid. The silence shatters as the hunter lunges forward, his grip fierce around the hilt of his dagger. He drives it mercilessly into Suho's side, his eyes unwavering, burning with determination. The armor cracking with the force of the strike. Dust explodes around them as the impact shakes the walls of the ancient structure. But Suho dodged the attack on time. You are the one who attacks first, he murmured, then immediate. With a bellowing roar, Suho swings a colossal arm, hurling the hunter back. The sheer force of the counterattack sends vibrations through the ground, leaving behind a swirl of dust and fractured stone. I can't tell how much damage I've dealt after increasing my strength, Suho thinks, muscles coiled, sweat tracing down his jaw. Since I struck his armor, he wouldn't die, would he? The hunter enemy, eyes lit with fury, snarls with rage. Brat. The word cracks through the air like lightning. Suho barely has time to process before the enemy charges again, a blur of steel and fury. Suho crashes into the stone wall with a deafening slam, causing it to collapse with an echoing rumble. Chapter end here. For more, like, share, and subscribe.